hot for TV.
Here we are, Doctor Who Too Hot for TV. We're back with a brand new episode. I am your host, Dylan.
I'm Jack.
And we're here to talk about all things Doctor Who Extended Universe. I realise I've started calling it the Extended Universe on this podcast. But is that a thing? Is that what people call it?
The multiverse, the wider canon.
The Omniverse?
Yes.
Fankus Wankus?
Doctor Who abroad.
It's just Doctor Who Too Hot.
Doctor Who on holiday.
Doctor Who on holiday.
When it's not on TV, we'll be there, covering whatever turns up.
Exactly. No matter what trash we have to get through.
Yeah.
So I like to usually start this with a bit of news about things that are related to the things that we like, as in the Doctor Who extended canon. Big Finish news. Everything we've been waiting for. Second box set from Lady Christina.
Hey.
Everybody's waiting. Did you hear the... I'm not going to ask if you heard the first one. Who bought that?
I mean, I'm always up for relatable, down-to-earth companions, such as jewel thieves.
I mean, that was like... Her character was basically cocky jewel thief written on a piece of paper.
Also, aristocratic jewel thief. Surely if you're an aristocrat, you've already got jewels.
Yeah, maybe that's how she got them. I mean, I don't know. Maybe Lady
Christina...
Christ...
That's what the rich do, isn't it?
Do you know, I wouldn't mind her teaming up with the 10th Doctor for a Big Finish. I'll take that again.
Oh, William Hartnell.
Yes. That's the box set we all want to see.
Her
a jolly good smack bottom.
Yeah, 4th Doctor. Robin Jules.
Sounds perverse. Also, from Big Finish, The War Doctor Begins. Now, I don't know whether you've heard about this. Newcomer Jonathan Carley is set to play the War Doctor, doing a John Hurt impression.
I've heard about this.
I don't know how I feel about this.
Well, they've recast the 3rd Doctor.
Yes.
So they've got a new voice artist for the 3rd Doctor, Ian and Barbara and Susan from Adventures in Space and Time.
Yeah.
And so now they've just jumped ahead and they've already recast someone who died last year.
So, they have recast lots of parts, and I think that's fine. I'm all for the recasting. You know, they used David Bradley, they recast the Brigadier. But, I feel like this is a bit too soon.
Yeah.
And also, I've heard the guy doing the War Doctor, and it's great. But it's very much a guy doing an impression of John Hurt.
Yeah.
And I'd rather, because you know when he regenerates in The Night of the Doctor, I'd much rather just cast someone new who's a super good actor, and maybe this guy is, and I'll be proved wrong, who sounds a bit like John Hurt but can more get the mannerisms, and just pretend the War Doctor was around for hundreds and hundreds of years and just do him super young, but getting someone to sound like they smoked 50 fags a day for the last 20 years.
Yes.
So I don't know.
Why can't they cast an actor and in the storyline he gets a cold or he gets like space flu and there's no space medicine around? He
lands on planets where the atmosphere is more helium than anything else.
Yes, yeah.
Come to us, Nick Briggs.
Sold.
We got the stories.
All I would say is if I worked at Big Finish, I would be nervous every time I was in a room with John Coleshaw because he could do everyone's job.
It's true.
He can do every voice.
Oh,
so one day he will be the only actor employed by Big Finish.
What do you think? What will happen when John Coleshaw dies? Is that when Doctor Who truly dies?
He's got an apprentice somewhere.
That's true. He must. There's a new Doctor Who book out called Doctor Who Adventures in Lockdown, and it's got a mighty fine list of authors. Chris Chibnall, 2 stories by Stephen Moffat, 3 by Russell T Davies, 2 by Neil Gaiman, Joy Wilkinson, Vinny Patel, Mark Gatiss, 3 by Paul Cornell, and 1 by Pete McTighe. And it's basically novelizations of those prequels you got to the watch-alongs, plus a few bonus stories. You know, the lockdown watch-alongs.
Okay.
You know, someone's jumping in for a penny there. But, I mean, that is the most impressive set of Doctor Who writers you've got in one book ever, I think.
Yeah.
Also, Titan Comics range. You know how people do multi-Doctor stories?
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, Big Finish keep them quite far apart. Titan love doing multi-Doctor stories in their comics range. So they've teamed up the 10th and the 13th Doctor. They're basically a duo travelling around in space and time to fight the Weeping Angels and the Autons. Any thoughts on that?
There's nothing wrong with the Autons.
There's nothing wrong with the Autons.
All I will say is Jodie Whittaker and David Tennant, they look like they could be a couple.
They do.
They're the only 2 incarnations that could make a good couple, I reckon.
not Hartnell and the War Doctor? Don't they look like two old actors who lived together, who met at RADA in the 60s and just told everybody they were companions for years? Yeah.
Confirmed companions.
Confirmed. To be honest, the Doctor Who comic I'm giving the most shit about at the moment is the Lytton comic, which I'm sure listeners will remember I had a chat to Gareth Kavanagh from Cutaway Comics on the last episode. But I bloody enjoyed the first episode, the first part of the Lytton comics, and they've got my money for everything they do now.
Yeah.
I'm all about niche Doctor Who spin-off, and this is not only niche, but it's really good and completely unexpected. Once the all issues have been released, we may not cover it, but I might do like a little 5-minute review at the end of one of the episodes, just giving you my thoughts on it, and you can look at the art, because I know you love pictures.
Yes, they're an interesting enterprise. I enjoyed listening to their episode. So
today, we're looking at 2 Master stories, which you chose for us. So, what was your first memory of the Master?
Anthony Ainley in Castrovalva.
Your favourite story?
Yes.
I'm asking you to remember when you were 3 years old, but was there any sort of impression, or is it just like, well, that man must be evil, he's wearing black and got a beard?
No. Au contraire. It was, holy fuck, the Portreeve is the Master.
But so you knew who the Master was?
No, because you see the Master before.
Oh, of course, yeah.
And then the Portreeve turns up, and then it's, hello, Noi Toynay, or whatever your name is. Neil Toynay.
Neil Toynay.
It's like, how many anagrams can you get out of one actor's name? Niton Kine. It's the Estram.
The thing is, I didn't realise when I was a kid that it was that the Portreeve was the Master either.
Yeah, because it's good acting and makeup.
It's like Anthony Ainley can act, and it is a good disguise, but there are many times where you're just like, like the King's Demons, where it's like, that's the Master, but ginger.
Yes, ginger.
French ginger. So, what do you think of the character of the Master in the classic series?
I always liked him. I guess it's odd seeing it in hindsight, because say if you watched the show consecutively, you would love Roger Delgado and then be like, I don't know what all these things are afterwards. But I've always liked the character. Anthony Ainley sometimes doesn't get the best material.
He doesn't.
But I've always liked him because he was very nice to me in real life.
He was. Do you want to tell the audience about your relationship with Anthony Ainley?
Fucking pervert.
So
I was a big Castrovalva fan.
Yes.
I went to a convention, as we all did as a family.
As we all did.
I'm talking about you.
Okay, right.
So when we were children, we went to a convention.
Yes.
I was a Castrovalva fan, so I was dressed as the Fifth Doctor, and I had a poster from Castrovalva of the Fifth Doctor and the Master that I wanted Anthony Ainley to sign, and I wanted a picture reenacting the poster. But before he could even say anything, he was like, "We need to reenact this." So he said that. He was like, "We need a picture of us doing this." So I was like, "That's what I'm here for." And then a year later, at the same convention, he did the introductory speech to the convention, and he was like, last year I met a nice young man called Jack, dressed as the Doctor, and I hope he's here this weekend.
And you were. I remember it well. Anthony Ainley loved you. We're not casting any sort of aspersions there. He was, like, by all accounts, he was quite an interesting character, but very nice to fans, apparently. Do you think it was a mistake to cast Anthony Ainley as a knockoff Delgado?
I would say, I think it's the look, because they've tried to, it's that thing of the Master is a man with a goatee, when he should just be a character. So I wonder how people would feel if Anthony Ainley wasn't so, like, all dressed in black and with a goatee, because Roger Delgado is cool.
He is.
And he just wears what he wants. Like, he has got that black outfit, but then also he turns up just in a business suit when he looks a lot more dapper.
Smokes cigars.
Yeah.
What a guy.
And I always liked and was quite terrified by the Scabby Master.
Crispy Fried Master.
Yeah.
We'll talk a bit more in depth about the Crispy Fried Master shortly, because that feeds into one of our stories today. So, I like the Master in the classic series, and I enjoy whenever he shows up. But he is that thing of diminishing returns, as a lot of Doctor Who enemies are. But him more than ever, because he's always trying to defeat the Doctor and he always gets beaten. Obviously, that's the nature of the story. But it's just like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this?
Yeah.
The new series, I think, gives the Master, it focuses the character and gives it purpose by A, making the character nuts and purposely driven nuts by the Time Lords, but also it really goes, no, the Master's weirdly obsessed with the Doctor and they've been playing this game across time and space that the Master sees as a game, but the Doctor doesn't, like, you know, when he's in the last of the Time Lords and he's cradling and he's going, oh, do you remember all that stuff we've done? And I don't think that's the Doctor going, oh, what fun we had. It's him going, come on, like, you're the last one. You're my best mate, my old best mate. I'm trying to see it from your perspective. Yeah. So for me, the character only really works properly in the new series.
Yes. I mean, I can see the original Master coming from a different time of, like, early Bond films, war films and spy novels, where it's much more about planning and, like, master planning in the sense of being an enemy agent, and then he just turns into a bit of a panto villain because the context changes.
Yeah. It's also this thing of, they created him as, like, the Doctor's Moriarty, but he just loses all the time.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. When does the Master win?
Somebody's got, like, one day they will have to do that. I suppose the nearest they get to winning is in the end of Capaldi's last series, where we know as an audience that they both died.
Yeah.
But in the Doctor's mind, they just abandoned him, pissed off. So it's not like, and it is the Master scheme that got them into that point.
Yes.
Like the Master's cyber scheme.
That's true. That's true.
Because from the Doctor, unless it's something they come back to, will never know how close Missy was to going back.
Yep. That's true.
Do you have a favourite Master?
Eric Roberts. No, I actually don't. I think every Master has a great story where they shine.
I agree.
Or scab over.
I agree, but I'm going Missy. Missy is my favourite iteration of the character.
Yeah?
I love her.
She is good, but the thing is she's good.
She's not always good, though. The relationship between her and Clara is very interesting.
Yeah.
A, because she kills Clara's boyfriend, but also she conveniently forgets about it in the next season. But I don't know. She's my favourite. What about the Master at Big Finish? Do you know how many of them there've been?
4.
Well, let me read you a list. These are all the Masters that have done Big Finish. Geoffrey Beevers.
Yeah.
Derek Jacobi. Michelle Gomez. Eric Roberts, John Sim, who's about to join the fold. Then, as original Masters, Mark Gatiss, Alex McQueen, Gina McKee in the Missy box set, never heard that, and Milo Parker in the forthcoming Masterful box set. John Coleshaw has also played Roger Delgado and Anthony Ainley, and James Dreyfus was also cast in the role, but he was cancelled because he was a TERF, so the Big Finish don't use him anymore. Do you have any experience of any of the Big Finish original Masters?
I think I've heard Mark Gatiss.
Okay.
Is it in an Unbound?
So he's in the Unbound with David Warner. And now, you know, David Warner and Bernice Summerfield were stuck in an alternative dimension. They use that Master in it a lot.
Yeah.
And he's good. Like, he plays the most, how can I describe it? The most fan-typical version of the Master. It's a fan who's a good actor doing his kind of Delgado almost. Did you hear Alex McQueen's one?
I heard Dominion.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've just forgotten everything that happened in it. And he was good. He was very good.
He's been in a few, and he's completely over the top in camp, but like in a gloriously like unhinged way that it just works.
Yeah. And also, it's kind of a bit easier to be unhinged on audio and crazy. Yeah. You can't see them flapping about.
But the best thing that they've done with the Master at Big Finish is Derek Jacobi. And I don't think you've ever heard any of them. But the box sets they've done for the War Master are superb. Like, one of them, in fact, 2 of them, it's basically him manipulating the entire history of people's lives or an entire world just for like his own stupid gain. And it just shows, because there's no Doctor there to stop him, he gets away with it, but he's as a pawn in the Time War. So it's just like the Master doing all the evil shit and winning. And it'll always be like, I've manipulated the entire history of this entire race just to lead them towards this point of creating this special gas or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's the best use of the character, in my opinion.
And they have shown how good Geoffrey Beevers was as a Master, and it's kind of mad in hindsight that he just had the Keeper of Traken.
Yeah.
That was it.
And they gave the Master one of the best themes I've ever heard in the Big Finish range. Have you ever heard it?
No.
What do you think of that bloody evil Doctor Who theme tune?
It's evil.
Isn't it? You weren't expecting that, were you?
I think the Master composed it.
I think he probably did. So that is my favourite thing that Big Finish have done music-wise.
Yeah.
Is just make an evil version of the Doctor Who theme tune.
I think when the Master's trapped in the Matrix and he gives the blast of his mind, that's the theme tune that plays.
Exactly that. And we find out who the secret incarnations of the Master was, and it's James Dreyfus.
The cancelled Master.
The worst one of them all.
You let the name down. The name of the Master.
The one thing I want to talk about the Big Finish Masters is, from the beginning, they had to use Geoffrey Beevers out of necessity because Anthony Ainley refused to do them and then rudely died. And then there wasn't... Roger Delgado had been dead ages, as had Peter Pratt. But in the early releases, the first time you see him is in Dust Breeding.
Yeah.
And even though everybody knew Geoffrey Beevers was in it, nobody was going, well, he's going to be playing the Master.
That was like Utopia, like 15 years
earlier.
It's the part 2 cliffhanger of that story is the reveal that this character has been the Master. And I remember when I listened to it first, and then I gave you the CD, and you got to the cliffhanger and you said, "Is this real? Is it actually the Master?" And I went, "Yes, yes, it is. Our day has come."
Yeah, it's true, because you don't expect. I think at that point, if you're just a fan of the TV show, you know the Masters don't meet the Doctors out of order.
Yes.
That's
true.
You know that the 80s Master is with the 80s Doctors. You know that Delgado is with Pertwee, and you know that Tom Baker has a dalliance with Crispy Fried Master.
Yeah.
So,
having said that, this is the age of the deep fake.
Yeah.
How long until there's a Roger Delgado deep fake in the new series?
I think that is coming. I think by the time we get to the 60th anniversary, there'll be I think whoever's in charge of the show then and what they're doing, I mean, it'll be Chibnall because the new series won't be out till then. They will definitely deep fake characters like that. Like, it's 100% coming.
Yeah. I mean, the end of the Day of the Doctor is kind of a deep fake.
It is.
All lined up, but it's not a good one.
It just doesn't quite work. Do you know the worst thing about that is...
They don't sing.
They don't sing. But also, do you remember they released that awesome 50th anniversary trailer with all the Doctors in, and it looks amazing in HD?
Yes, I know it because I watch it every single day.
Yeah.
Because it's the best episode of Doctor Who that's ever been made.
It is. And nobody even notices that they forgot to replace the actor playing Pertwee.
It's close enough.
It's close enough. But you get that and you think, well, they obviously did that as a tester for the 50th anniversary. And then you get Cosplay and Smudgy Face and at the end of but you know, the sentiment was there, and in that cinema we were all wanting to cheer, but we couldn't because we're repressed British Doctor Who fans.
Too hot for TV.
Master, written by Joseph Lidster, was released in October 2003. It was the last Big Finish released before Big Finish number 50, the 40th anniversary story, Zagreus. We talked about how you liked Zagreus before, which features 4 Doctors, 15 companions, but this formed part of a trilogy along with Omega and Davros. Omega and Davros. Don't know how Davros is.
It's the Swedish Davros.
What did you think of this little trilogy in general?
I thought it was epic.
Yeah?
They were all very... I don't want to say adult, but they're all very... They're about villains, they're not about monsters.
Yeah.
And they go into pretty heavy discussions about each of the villains. So they're great, but they're not fun.
They're not. I'd say it's the first time Big Finish really do fan service. And I'm not even going to call it fan wank because they're such well-written, well-rounded stories. That actually what you get in them is it's them taking a deep dive into each of these characters, but it's not super fan wank.
Yeah.
And, they've done Cybermen and Ice Warriors and Daleks, but they were very much just like, let's do the best version of that we can, or in Red Dawn's case, not. Originally, Gary Russell asked Michael Gough to reprise his role as the Celestial Toymaker for one of them, but he wouldn't do it, and also he was probably in his late 80s by that point. Also at the time, a lady called Lorraine Hegacy, controller of BBC One, announced at the Edinburgh TV Festival she would like to bring back Doctor Who to Saturday tea times, but she said there were rights issues. And so BBC I looked into the copyright of Doctor Who and the rights, and they just went, oh no, BBC, you do actually have the rights. Do you know what happened to this?
They brought back Blake Seven?
Yes, they did. No, Russell T Davies's Doctor Who series all stems from that bit of news. Also at the time, the first female Doctor was cast, Arabella Ware.
Yes.
Yeah, do you remember her?
Oh, yeah.
Part of me really wants to revisit that, and part of me is like, don't go near it, ever.
Yeah.
Also around the time, 3.5 minutes of 16mm negatives from Fury from the Deep were found. Eric Saywood was back for the first time since he left the show for a short trip story. The comic strip running was The Curious Tale of Spring-Heeled Jack. Other releases of that month included McGann's Sharda on CD, The Two Doctors on DVD, Invasion of the Dinosaurs finally made it out on VHS, Professor Bernie Summerfield and the Beltron Incident, BBC Books The Last Resort by Paul Leonard, Stephen Cole's Timeless, the Big Finish main range was Project Lazarus, and the Unbound story was Sympathy for the Devil. So lots and lots of stuff released. Is there any of those that stick out to you at all?
Sharda was exciting.
It was.
Paul McGann and Lala Ward.
For some reason.
Which was actually really good and exciting at the time.
It was.
It felt like a really good and great thing. So if anybody that lived through that was then very surprised that they animated Sharda again.
Yeah, with Tom Baker.
Yeah, but that, I remember, I immediately wanted, when you mentioned that, I thought, I want to re-listen to that because it was really big and good at the time. It was.
Well, you know the reason it happened was Tom Baker was refusing to do Big Finish. Because this was like a BBC Big Finish collaboration, they thought they might get Tom Baker that way. But he did not do it. So, there we go. So the plot of Master, and for anybody that hasn't listened to these, we do full spoilers, so spoilers ahead. But Master by Joe Lidster.
Too hot for TV.
As an assassin awaits his victim high above a crowd, the Doctor appears and regales him with a story of a night on Perfusium, which sees Victor and Jacqueline Schaefer arrive at the house of John Smith, their old friend who is both disfigured and an amnesiac. The night is intended to celebrate his mysterious 10-year arrival in the town and all the good things he's achieved in his time there. But while the streets of Perfusium are beset with a killer, so Smith's house is beset with something that brings out the darker side of people's natures. When the Doctor arrives, an intense conversation about the nature of good and evil unfolds, while the force intensifies, bringing out the many dark secrets of the house's occupants. In Jacqueline, it reveals an intense bigotry towards the lower classes, despite dedicating her life to helping them, and her secret love for John. While Victor reveals his distrust for John, his fear of losing Jacqueline, his fear of being seen as an intellectual inferior, and the fact he has been murdering the sex workers of Perfusium. While ultimately it is revealed that John is the Master, who was sent here to live a life without his evil past by the Doctor, who made a deal with death, while his maid Jade is revealed to be death itself. But it is the Doctor's truth that is the darkest. As a child, he and the Master were attacked by a bully. Out of rage, the Doctor killed the bully, the boys burnt the body and agreed to keep it a secret. But wrapped with guilt, the Doctor made a deal with death. He would give his friend to death, the Master taking on his guilt and so placing him on his own dark path. When the truth is revealed, John forgives the Doctor and heads back to the start of the evening to kill Victor and Jacqueline, once again becoming Death's servant. The old assassin reveals himself to be Death, and the Doctor vows to one day save his old friend. Let's jump in at the deep end. What's this story about?
It's a stage play on audio.
Mm.
And the ultimate thing that it's about is the fact that the Doctor, as a child, murdered another child and blamed the Master on it, which sent the Master mad. And beyond that, the Master is now a human and he's having dinner on a Victorian alien planet with a man that turns out to be a prostitute killer with his wife who looks after prostitutes. Turns out her husband's been killing prostitutes. And
I did it for you, Jacqueline!
And the seventh Doctor turns up having been burned in a lightning strike. And it's a spooky dooky evening of thrills and spills.
It
and
is.
Chills.
It is. There's so many things to say about this. Should we not bother? It's well acted, but it is acted in the style of Doctor Who, like classic Doctor Who.
Yeah, I thought about this because the legacy of the classic series was the fact that people wrote like space operas, they'd write them with like cod Shakespearean accents or kind of cod Dickensian Victorian dialogue. And this has that very melodramatic. Everyone talks incredibly earnestly. It's meant to be a bit Edwardian style alien planet.
Yeah.
And I do like the style of it. Sometimes it gets a bit too overly earnest, where it's like no one would ever talk about their feelings or thoughts in such epic detail.
Well, Gary Russell told Joseph Lidster that he needed to set it on an alien planet, and he was like, I really don't like alien planets, so I'm going to make it the least alien planet in the world and actually set it in what we would call the Victorian or Gothic era of Doctor Who, but it's Edwardian Gothic. They're basically the same thing. Also, you go in, I think, expecting an origin story for the Master, but it's just as much of an origin story for the Doctor, but actually it gives very little away about their histories apart from this one event.
Yeah.
But it does give a lot away about their character.
Yes.
In a way that I don't think had been explored that much in audio.
Yes.
There are lots of things I like about it, but one of my favourite things is that, like, I'm not going to say this is perfect because it's got its flaws. I think it's mainly that it sits in this weird bubble of, like, what is this? Is it... Because it's written kind of with an early noughties kind of idea and sensibilities on plot.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, like, it's a more modern tale, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Even though it draws on loads of different tropes and is acted in the style of kind of classic Doctor Who. So, I mean, if you look at, like, it takes a number of classic tropes and plays with them and inverts them. So you start with a setup of a murder mystery, finding out the character's secrets, even though we know who the murder will be. But yet it still manages to subvert the expectations right from the start. Indeed, the person you expect to be murdered first, the maid, is Death herself, and is the manipulator of events. Then it has, like, horror movie tropes, like Ouija boards and cackling ghosts and things flying off shelves and a dead cat, but they're actually just window dressing.
Yeah.
Then you get the story of the kids killing the bully, and it's a classic tale, and you kind of assume that'll be the Master, and the twist is it's actually the Doctor. Even that's a sort of cliche. The fact the Doctor then sells his friend out is the jaw-dropping moment.
Yeah.
And then you've just got all the Gothic Victorian, which is a Doctor Who trope in itself. But you slowly realise that it's set on a colony world, and all the Edwardiana is in the far future. But it doesn't play on it as a plot point at all. In fact, it's almost not needed.
Yes.
So nothing sits right, and I think that's on purpose.
Yeah. I think that the two most influential things on the story and where it's from, one is the idea of it being a stage play, because so much of the actual meat of the script is made up of characters talking about what's happening in their lives outside of the house and their histories of each other. So we learn all of this stuff, but it's all set in one single house, and yet we learn about all of these killings that have been happened, and we don't see a single killing.
Yeah.
It's all just exposition. But beyond that, the main premise of it is the fact that it is Human Nature by Paul Cornell, the trope of the Doctor becoming human, that applied to the Master, which is such a good idea that I'm surprised it hasn't been picked up by the new series, considering how many times the Master's appeared. Has it? Oh, Missy!
Utopia.
Oh.
When I was listening to this, I was like, the thing is, I thought exactly the same. If you said to me, has the Master ever been a human? I'd be like, no. And then I listened to this and I went, oh, fuck, this is Utopia.
Well, I guess that the drama is the fact that it's actually the Master in Utopia. And then it's over.
Yeah.
In this, it's the fact the Doctor knows it's the Master. And it's trying to be a big redemptive process. And it's really, really good because they make the Master a Doctor. So not only is he a human or humanoid type figure, he's also saved loads of lives.
Yeah.
And so when the Doctor explains to the characters, look, this man has killed thousands and millions of people, they go, yeah, but he's saved thousands of people in the last few months. So it's a really, really good morality tale. And it does go into the subjects head on. It doesn't. It's Doctor Who for the adult listeners that are buying the audios.
Yeah, because it is adults at that time, and by adults we mean anybody kind of over the age of sort of 10. And I know that sounds weird, but it's people who grew up in an age where they understand television and how narrative works. And one of the best lines that I think sums it all up is when the Doctor is speaking to John Smith and he goes, "I didn't expect you to be so normal. I didn't expect you to have friends."
Yeah.
And it's like, again, it's this, and you know at that point you're sold. You know the Master is you know before this, but you know that the Master has 100%. Hasn't got that kind of evil in him for whatever at this point.
Yeah.
We should talk a bit about the Master. So Geoffrey Beevers was nobody's favourite Master before this, at least. I would say in Keeper of Traken, it's a very one-note, I'm an evil man in a weird tree thing performance. Yeah. And he's only really in about an episode and a half. And then he turns into Anthony Ainley. So what did you think of him here?
He is very good because he spends most of the time playing a likeable person.
Yeah.
And I think there's just... He creates a really likeable character. And my argument always is that the Master is interesting when he's either being really clever or really creepy or malevolent. If he's just going around cackling, saying I'm evil, I think it's quite hard for any actor to do that well. So for someone, I don't. Anthony Ainley was ever given that great material, and same for Geoffrey Beevers in Keeper of Traken. So even then, the moments when the Master is evil in this, when Geoffrey Beevers plays him as the Master, it's done in a very, very cool, detached kind of a way. And the thing that I like is the fact that it turns into a big morality discussion about evil. And when the Master finally comes back, he's like, "Well, I'm not evil. I'm just trying to get what I want."
Yeah.
And the fact that he doesn't view himself as evil, it's just, I'm just out to get power.
Yeah.
Oh. And it sells it a lot more as well.
It does. Do you think this would have worked with the other classic series Masters, or is the decaying Master the thing that really sets it apart? Because
I do really, really like the fact that it's the idea that what is it? The Master's given 10 years.
10 years, the Doctor made the deal with death that for 10 years he would not remember his past.
Yeah.
And not have the thing in him that makes him evil. But then there plays obviously this whole thing of, well, is it in all of us?
Yes, but the fact is that he's the decayed Master, and it's almost like an Elephant Man type trope in that he's this likable figure who's a hero to the community, but is also disfigured. But I also like the idea. This isn't stated, but in my head, it's the idea that the idea that the Master actually has kind of healed a bit, and
Yeah.
so there's a mocked up image of him on the cover, and it's not, he doesn't look as bad as he does in The Keeper of
Oh,
Traken.
that was done on purpose.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's a really, really good idea, and that does make it better as well, because he's much more sympathetic, because it's like this man that has saved loads of women and children in childbirth. I think it would be interesting. I would love to see this story with Roger Delgado if he was alive, because
I think
he would
could probably pull it off.
I mean, John Poe used to go on about how kind and gentle Roger Delgado was. So
Wouldn't say boo to a spider or something like that.
Peter Pratt.
Peter Pratt is Peter Pratt and this Master are the same Master.
Yeah, but I don't know what Peter Pratt is like.
I don't know
as an actor.
I don't. He was an opera singer, wasn't he?
Eric Roberts could not do this.
No. Anthony Ainley.
Well, if Anthony Ainley could do the portree as well as he did, then he could do this.
Yeah,
unless he played him as the French knight. I rescue women, their children. I have some wine.
Let's talk a little bit about the supporting cast.
Yeah.
Now, what I like about the main two supporting cast is that, much like the Master, the John Smith Master, they are both seen as pillars and heroes of the community who also have dark pasts and dark secrets.
Yeah.
So we've got Victor Schaefer, played by Philip Maddock, who's obviously a fan favourite in Doctor Who. He's one of those actors that's been in about 5 stories of the classic series, and everyone's just like, you are the best thing ever. What do you think of him here?
He's got the perfect voice for Victorian style.
He has.
Storytelling. Yeah, I think he's great. I think they're all good actors. It only falls down when some of the dialogue gets a bit too. But I think you could cut bits of it.
Yeah.
Just to make it tighter. But I think he is great. He is just what Doctor Who fans think actors sound like.
He is, and he does play it in that, as you say, he plays it in like such a classic style, and like his tormented, when he becomes more tormented and emotional, it's not a real performance, but it's an effective performance, if that makes sense. No one's given him an award for realism in this.
Yeah.
But he expresses those emotions in the most kind of 1960s RAC?
Rep.
Yeah, in the most kind of rep theatre style.
Yeah.
So I really dug it. Then we've got Anne Riddler as Jacqueline, who was, I'm sure you remember, as Dr. Gemma Corwin in The Wheel in Space. And she's married to another Master, the Master of the Land of Fiction, Emmerich Jones. Yeah. We go tenuous on this one. And again, she's great, like a proper British actor with an RP accent.
Yeah.
Just killing it. The maid / Death was played by Charlie Hayes, who's been in loads of Big Finish, and is the daughter of Wendy Padbury.
Ooh.
There you go.
I like the fact that the most innocent and harmless character of the whole play turns out to be Death incarnate.
I'd actually forgotten that.
So did I.
Yeah.
So did I.
And
it's really good.
I was just expecting her to be killed, and I really like that she isn't. There's another member of the supporting cast we should talk about. The Doctor.
Yes.
Played by Sylvester McCoy.
Yeah.
What do you think of his performance here?
I really like it, but also I have always really liked Sylvester McCoy at Big Finish.
Yeah.
And I know some Doctor Who fans who never liked him still never liked him on audio, and some people changed. But I think he does an anguished and emotionally compromised Doctor as good as any other.
I completely agree. He's absolutely at his best. He's also, he's not only at his best, he's creepy, and he's almost pathetic in a way, like in this story. Like, he's really weak. Like, he's vulnerable. Like, he's been racked with this guilt for all these regenerations, and obviously the others have been able to suppress it more. And this guy, the great manipulator, is just like, I must do something about this, and so makes this deal with death. It's just like...
The thing that I like is that he doesn't turn up until the first episode cliffhanger, so it's really effective because you forget that the Doctor is in the story, and then he turns up at the window and he's been burnt in a lightning strike, which I like because it then means that the Doctor is burnt and disfigured slightly.
Yeah.
And the Master has to tend to him and look after him.
So when I first heard this, I thought body swap story. I was like, of course it's a body swap story. What else would it be? And again, another kind of subverted kind of cliche there. The story also has a framing device of the Doctor talking to an assassin. To me, that's almost a cliche. And again, it almost doesn't work, except it does, because it's the Seventh Doctor, the manipulator. It's a more in-depth version of that Happiness Patrol speech where he knows, pull a trigger, end a life. And I just think he sells that in a way that if it was Colin Baker, you'd be like, that's just somebody adding a framing device for narrative purpose to try and explain things. So I really like that. Written by Joe Lidster, who's since gone on to write loads of Big Finish, loads of Torchwood for TV, Sarah Jane Adventures. He's written loads of kids' TV. But his only Doctor Who story up to this point was The Rapture. Just a little sidestep. Did you enjoy that?
I did. I did like it, but people didn't like it because it was about raving.
Yeah, and if there's one thing Doctor Who fans don't do is raving, unless it's raving about continuity on a forum. But I enjoyed it at the time. So Gary Russell offered Lidster Omega or the Master, and he said he just got no interest in Omega, so went for the Master. And Russell told him to pitch a story based on the Doctor arriving on a planet where he arrives to find an amnesiac Master working as a Doctor. And this is what we got. What do you think of the writing here?
I really like it. I think it's a really strong story, and I think that the thing that stands out amongst the whole thing, it's got a really good atmosphere of just dread and terror.
Yeah.
And I remember at the time it just all builds up to the final twist about the origins of the Master and the Doctor and their relationship. And that still stays with me because I think even if people feel like it might not work for the show, it is a bit of genius when it to make sense of every other Doctor and Master story.
Absolutely. And I think until the new series, it was the best kind of version of kind of marrying those two together that I think you get. Joe Lister does here something that I think is brilliant, that there's a criticism that can be aimed at a lot of Big Finish and a lot of classic Doctor Who series, and that's that episodes 2 and 3 are just padding. You get a fantastic setup and then an exciting climax with a bit of fluff in the middle. But here, the episodes are really cleverly structured. So episode 1 sets up a mystery and it allows you to get to know all the characters because the Doctor's not there, and you begin to like John Smith. Episode 2 is just a conversation between John Smith and the Doctor about the nature of good versus evil, and that's when you think it's going to be like a body swap type thing and a memory loss. Episode 3 is the unravelling of all the characters and revealing their darkest side. So it brings all the characters we've already met into one room and basically says you're all weirdos. And then episode 4 looks at the relationship between the Doctor and Master, which has obviously been building to, as you say, in a way that I don't think had up to this point been looked at before.
Yeah.
So I'm like, in terms of structuring Doctor Who, I think it's about as perfect as you can make 4 episodes of Doctor Who in that respect.
Yeah.
It's always been said that the Doctor and Master are polar opposites, but they aren't. They had similar upbringings, and the Doctor's actions sent the Master on his path when death's influence is removed.
Do you know there's a note in this where Death comments on the fact that they both left Gallifrey on the same day?
Which feeds into something that's happening later in this podcast. That the same thing happens in The Glorious Dead.
Does it?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
Yeah.
No.
It does. Without Death's intervention, would the Doctor have ended up like the Master? Are they that similar?
Yes. Well, it treats it purely as it's just the most horrible thing that could happen to a child, and they would have to turn evil as a result.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that I do like is the fact that they have the Doctor as a child talking on audio, and it works.
It does,
because it's done just like the Doctor as a child appearing at the end of Listen. They know it's like you can see or hear a fragment of this character.
Yeah, you don't want an episode,
and you're going to break the show.
Yeah. Oh, what was Timeless Children? Anybody? I like Timeless Children. It's only fragments.
The creche of time. The kindergarten of time.
This again gives credence to why the Doctor is never trying to get rid of the Master as well. His
Yeah.
guilt is always to try and save him,
Ah,
you know?
yes.
Or save him or her. And that, again, feeds into, like, you know, the whole season 10 arc with Missy and things like that. It's just like, I can reform my friend, I can
Yeah.
reform my friend. And that's something that's present probably in the Sea Devils,
Yeah.
but you don't really get it much more in the classic series.
Yeah.
I just thought that was a nice thing. So, is this the sort of story that can only be told because it's a story that's aware of its own canonical history? It can only be derived from a knowledge that these two characters are siphons for good and evil.
What do you mean? Could it work outside of Big Finish, or could it just...
Could it work outside of Big Finish? Could it work outside of Doctor Who? Do you have to know who these characters are and what they represent? Pull it all away.
Well, the fact that it introduces the character of death as just this mythical creature, I do wonder if you could just tell it as a story of two people that have always been at war in some way, and then it turns into this fantastical, metaphysical morality tale. It's interesting that, because it's not set on another planet. It's set on Earth.
Yeah, exactly.
I think you could adapt this to just be a piece of drama.
Could you adapt it for a stage play without any Doctor Who knowledge, do you think? Yeah. Okay, well, I'm commissioning you now. Here's 40 pence. My last question, does the Master win?
Yeah, it does feel like the Doctor loses in it. He like, as in, he finds out the truth of his origins, which is meant to be, which kind of debilitates him. And then the Master leaves, and the Doctor just vows to rescue him again one day. It ends on a really tragic note.
It does, and it's very, very sad.
Yes.
So, is it a clanger or is it a banger?
It's a banger.
Of course, it's a banger.
Oh, I've got one more thing.
Oh, sorry. Go on.
Could you get away with this origin story in the new series with Jodie Whittaker?
No.
No?
I think it's too... I don't think you could tell it in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
And I don't think you could... I mean, you would do it, but you would have to add shitty generic monsters to make it work.
Well, I've got a script here that explains how they could get away with it.
Go on, then.
Hey, Doc, what's up? Oh, hiya, Yaz. Feeling a bit, well, bad. I've just discovered that, as a child, I murdered another child and made baby Sacha Dhawan take the blame, which is why he's so mental. Wait, was this when you were a timeless child, or when you were a baby William Hartnell? Oh, that's a point. Either way, that's one more incarnation that we can't give the title of the Doctor to. Hey, now listen. We're your mates, no matter what. So don't listen to that multi-dimensional death creature telling you those fibs. Oh, thanks, Shaz. You know, there's naught better than travelling in TARDIS, having brews, and spreading a left-wing political agenda across the universe. Not to mention teaching Ryan how to ride yon bicycle. Come on, fam, we've got work to do.
Well,
Too hot for TV.
The Glorious Dead ran from February to October 2000. This was also the first time you got to hear lots of missing episode soundtracks on CD. Back in the day, J&T released some audio cassettes of like Evil and Power, but this was the first time people got to hear classics like The Highlanders and Galaxy 4. Can you remember experiencing the lesser-known missing stories for the first time?
I did listen to them all later. As I began to fall out of love with Big Finish, I think that's when I got into the missing episodes. I can't tell you a single thing that happens in Galaxy 4, but I do like the Highlanders. I remember loving that.
Highlanders, Smugglers.
Yes.
Love that.
Yeah.
Also around this time, a book came out called Doctor Who Regeneration by Gary Russell, with a making of the TV movie, which at the time seemed like the biggest expose to everything.
It's full of the leakily concept art.
The leakily concept art, the leakily Bible.
Yes, which is the only Bible as far as I'm concerned.
Me too. I actually read passages of it to people every day. Also, Spearhead from Space had just been repeated on BBC Two.
That was big.
It was big. Well, you think it was big. And their plan was to repeat all of Doctor Who in colour, but the ratings were disappointing. So after the Silurians, they were meant to go to Inferno, and they went straight to Genesis of the Daleks, but people just didn't watch, so it was cancelled. So why do you think at this point people were just not interested in classic Doctor Who?
I would wonder whether if all of Doctor Who was shot on film, whether it would have aged better and would repeat better, and not look as cheap, because a few years later, surely they were repeating old episodes of Star Trek,
all on film,
on like mainstream channels, and there was a draw for that, as in, oh yeah, it's retro Star Trek, whereas Doctor Who, as old as it is, it's never like, oh, it's so retro. It's just, oh, this is really cheap.
Yeah.
I don't want to think that, but it's just on a purely aesthetic level.
I think that's probably it. It just looks cheap. I think people are just, for some reason, they're drawn more towards old film, and they kind of go, oh, this is a nostalgic kind of crispy looking thing.
Yeah.
Whereas Doctor Who looks like a studio.
It's very shiny in a sweaty way.
Yeah. Also, other bits of news at the time, The Boy Who Kicked Pigs came out. Tom Baker's book.
Yeah.
Love that book.
Yeah, it's really odd in hindsight because you don't know who it's for, because it looks like a kid's book, but it's a really horrible, bleak book about a child dying on a motorway somewhere.
This was when Death Comes to Time, was the rumours first started floating around about that.
Love that.
Bonnie Langford had obviously returned to Big Finish. It was announced that Paul McGann was doing Big Finish. The Web of Fear was being turned into a stage play. Never saw that. The headline in DWM 290 was that both Tom Baker and Bonnie Langford both had websites.
A website?
A website, yeah.
I bet they had scrolling text.
They definitely did. At the Cannes Film Festival, Mutual Film Company, everyone's favourite company, were apparently hotly tipped to make a Doctor Who movie. Never happened. Richard Franklin was performing his story, The Killing Stone, at the Fringe. If anybody ever gets a chance to read or listen to The Killing Stone, don't do it. It's terrible. It is a vanity project for an insane actor.
As a side note, whenever you provide these updates of what was happening at the time, there is a perpetual news article about there being a Doctor Who film. It's 2020 and there still isn't a Doctor Who film.
I know.
We're on what, series 12 of the new series? Still no film. There's never going to be a Doctor Who film.
There's never going to be a Doctor Who film.
It's just not it's a TV show. And
there will be, and it'll fail. Because I don't think there is a Doctor Who story that you can tell in a film that sums up what the show is to a new audience or an audience that wouldn't normally watch it. It needs to be a series. The only thing you can do is what all those fucking Leakley scripts and things were, which is a quest through time.
Yeah.
And it's just, and
you've got the chase, but expensive.
That's basically what it is.
Too hot for TV.
The Glorious Dead by Scott Gray. The Doctor, Croton and Izzy arrive on the museum planet of Paradost, where a grand ceremony is taking place. The archivists are returning the final page of a holy book to the Church of the Glorious Dead, represented by their masked leader, Cardinal Morningstar. Croton is soon attacked by disciples of the Church, who sacrifice themselves by transforming into malevolent burning life forms known as the Ash Wraiths. Soon, an invasion fleet from the Church's homeworld arrives and brings about a religious apocalypse upon Paradost. The Doctor is kidnapped out of reality by an unknown force, leaving Izzy and Croton to formulate a plan to destroy the Ash Wraiths. Using the planetary weather system, they defeat the creatures, but on succeeding in their mission, Izzy is shot by Morningstar, using a familiar device that shrinks its victims. Meanwhile, the Doctor is trapped in a fantasy world of consecutive parallel lives. The Doctor is rescued by Esterath, a guardian of the omniversal spectrum, where all multiverses converge. The focal point of this realm, known as the Glory, is dying, and requires a new guardian to direct it. The guardian must win the title through a one-on-one battle with an adversary. Esterath has chosen the Doctor as his champion, and sends him to the Church's homeworld, Dakan, a hellish dystopia that is in fact the planet Earth. There, the Doctor faces his adversary for the Glory, the Master. The Master established the Church of the Glorious Dead, appointing an immortal samurai warrior, Katsura, aka Morning Star, as its leader. Croton locates Katsura to avenge Izzy's death, while she's in fact alive and imprisoned, shrunk by the tissue compression eliminator. The Master and the Doctor engage in a psychic battle, and the Master emerges victorious. With all seemingly lost, the Master is in fact rejected by the Glory, meaning the Doctor and the Master were not the real adversaries, and Croton is the true guardian. He takes his place in the Glory and removes Katsura and the Master, leaving Izzy and the Doctor back home on the restored planet Earth.
We talked about this before, but was this your first Doctor Who comic?
Yeah, you hyped it up, and I was like, I need to get into this. And I followed the strip from this, and then prior to that, I read back issues to read other stories. So this was big, and also, it's 10 parts long, which is 10 months of the year. So that's a long story.
It is a long story, and it was these McGann. I don't really read Doctor Who comics now, apart from for this podcast. But it was this run of Doctor Who comics, especially, I guess, the TV movie kind of reinvigorated. I love Doctor Who, but having a new Doctor, this to me was the best way to follow his adventures, because I just wasn't really able to read the 8th Doctor books. They took too long. I didn't have the time. I mean, I was probably 15 and drinking cider in a park. So reading these comics was my bit of new Doctor Who until Big Finish came along. And even when they came along, I still read them all. And it was the first time I found them as like a valid medium.
Mm.
So I was like, oh God, every week.
Yeah.
I can't wait for the next one, because they did really cool stuff with it. And reading this, and indeed the Flood that we did a few weeks ago, I was like, oh God, these are all bloody brilliant.
Yeah. Is it the best version of Doctor Who?
I think, yes, no. It's one of, I think it's
the best that a Doctor Who comic could ever be.
Yeah.
There is no way to beat it.
I absolutely agree. So let's talk about, what's the name of the world it starts on?
Paradost.
So we land on Paradost,
which is an obvious play on Paradise Lost.
Oh, smart. And it's straight into the action. It's a huge, huge alien world. And you get there and it's all very Star Wars Cantina, and you're like, oh, this is a fun comics idea. And then instantly it's Battlestar Galactica and everything's destroyed. Creatures burst into flames. It's just a space opera on the likes you've never seen. And I know we say this a lot, but you would struggle to do this on TV even now.
Yeah, definitely.
It's like the biggest Doctor Who story you could possibly tell, and it only gets bigger over the course of it, because it's not just set on an alien world.
2 alien worlds.
There's alien worlds, there's hyperspatial tunnels, there's a whole omni-dimension, and it's just massive. Like, I think it's the biggest story ever told.
Yes.
Not ever, I mean Doctor Who story. Before we get to the Master, there's a few other enemies in it. So you've got these ash wraiths.
Yeah.
Which are a great concept. What's the thing? They just...
The disciples of the Glorious Dead believe that everybody's already dead and we're just waiting to be reunited with God. They sacrifice them. They believe they're sacrificing themselves to turn into these kind of archangels, which are these big fiery aliens, but in fact they're just other dimensional beings that need a sacrifice to enter the world.
Yeah.
So it's very dark. So they're essentially they're suicide bombers that turn into aliens from another dimension.
Amazing. On page 5 of part 1, in the top right panel, you can see the skirt of a Dalek.
Alpha Centauri's in there as well.
Oh, there you go. Tell me about Morning Star.
Cardinal Morning Star is masked for the most of the story, and he is the leader of the Church of the Glorious Dead, and he is set up to be the Master. It's like he's in disguise, he's got to be the Master. The Doctor makes a point of saying, I recognise the handwriting of their holy text, and he asks him for his autograph. to try and figure out if he knows his handwriting. And eventually, he's revealed to have a tissue compression eliminator.
Yes, he is.
And then at the last minute, he takes off his helmet, and it's not him. And even the name Morningstar is meant to be the idea. Master Morningstar, is it the spur? No. It's a guy called Katsura Sato, who is a samurai warrior from another earlier 8th Doctor comic strip. I can't remember the exact details of the story, but he attempts to kill himself in like a ritual samurai suicide. I think he's been defeated, so to retain his honour, he'll self-impale himself. But he's been infected with these nanogenes that will always repair him and make him immortal. So he can never get the honour that he needs. And he's left in that story. And then it turns out the Master has gone in and turned him into his disciple and made him turn Earth into a radical religious dystopian hellscape.
That is very true. I didn't remember his story, but you pick it up fairly quickly. And I was like, even for me, who can't remember the story, I felt he was quite a well-rounded character, and you got it all in like a couple of pages of the comic. You also get a character I'd forgotten, Croton, who is not a Croton, but is a Cyberman.
Yeah.
He's better than Danny Pink and Cyberbrig. So he is a Cyberman who has lost his emotional inhibitor, I guess.
Yeah, so he's a Cyberman with feelings, and he first appeared in the back strips of Doctor Who Weekly, where you would have characters coming across Doctor Who villains. So he appeared in Ship of Fools and Throwback Soul of a Cyberman, in which you'd get a comic strip with Tom Baker as the 4th Doctor introducing them, and then have adventures with other worlds. And Croton was
incredible.
He appeared in these back strips of Doctor Who Weekly, and then was reintroduced to the 8th Doctor strips. And it was really good, so that the 8th Doctor tries to electrocute him thinking he's a Cyberman, and it turns out he's a good guy.
He's one of the good guys, and he is one of the good guys. I thought it was a brilliant character. It also gives you one of the best images in any Doctor Who, which is a Cyberman flying on the back of a giant stingray.
Yep.
Which I'm there for 110%. But he and indeed everybody in this, and this goes to show how well this is written, is a really well-rounded character.
Yeah.
Like, you get the scene of Croton and Izzy discussing their pasts, and it's so nicely done. It's real character moments and slightly sad because they don't know whether they're going to get off the planet.
Yes.
And they've obviously travelled with each other for a bit, but they don't quite know each other's backstories.
Yeah.
And from the comics I've read from Doctor Who, you don't get moments like that often. I'm sure you do within this run, but I've always felt, for instance, companions in comics that aren't the TV ones are just like, I've always been fairly generic of just like, oh, that could be any character. But these ones, I'm like, whoa, these are layered, multifaceted characters.
Yeah. So the thing with Croton is the fact that he can't remember his life before, but he's got feelings and he doesn't want to remember it because he's still a Cyberman. But I think he'd be a good companion just in the TV show.
Yeah.
Because you can, like, occasionally, it's a bit like Blake Seven had Gan as like a strong man, and he had like an inhibitor in his head, and then in the Doctor occasionally needs a soldier type companion to do the shooting and the kind of like aggressive things, and it'd be good to have a robot companion just for a bit. Why not a Cyberman? I mean, Handles doesn't count. Handles does not count. I think Croton's great.
Okay, yeah, I'm sold on Croton. And at the end, he gets his memories back, and it's very kind of, it's like a heartbreaking moment. You see him as a human with his wife and all this, and it's almost the opposite of what they did with Ashad in the more recent series, where it's a human Cyberman that isn't driven mad by the fact he's a Cyberman.
And he becomes God.
He does. So see, if you'd have played your cards right.
Yeah. Also, it's a Cyberman, and they call him Croton. I mean, identity crisis. It's like, what? It's like, this is my Dalek friend, Silurian. Say hello, Silurian.
Let's talk a little bit about the Doctor in it. The Doctor, who is a delegate from the Hackney Empire.
Classic.
Great line. I know the Doctor's ruse of collecting an autograph is obviously to see if it's the Master or whatever, but I just like his I just like the idea of the Doctor asking for an autograph. I thought that was very fun.
Yeah.
Very exciting things we get to see about the Doctor in this is him as a human.
Yes.
We get to see him in question mark underpants and what looks like grabbing Grace Holloway's boob.
Really?
As he gets out of bed, he goes like that.
Yeah.
He's grabbing a handful of Holloway breast. Those prominent breasts we remember from running down a corridor in an opera dress.
For people that don't know what we're talking about, this contains one of the best cliffhangers of all Doctor Who.
It does.
Which is that halfway through the adventure, the Doctor's discussing how he's going to save the day, and he suddenly hears someone saying, "Wake up." And he's like, "Can you hear that?" And suddenly he wakes up and he's back on Earth, a married man living a normal life, married to Grace Holloway, and the whole adventure's apparently been a dream.
I remember it happening at the time. I did it again this time round. I absolutely lost my shit when it happened. I mean, that is a proper cliffhanger. But that's like if it had been on TV, that's a wow.
Yeah.
Wasn't that the best? That's up there with the end of Utopia and shit like that. Other great cliffhangers in this you get is he gets shrunk and you see the TCE and you're like, oh my God, it's the Master.
Yeah.
And then it's not the Master. It's someone from a comic book and you're like, wow. And then it finally is the Master and the panels, the way they're drawn are so dark.
Yeah.
And it's like, and you're like, oh my God, it's the Master.
The Doctor gets stabbed.
The Doctor does get stabbed.
Yeah, he gets impaled on the Master's sword and the Master wins forever.
Yeah.
Oh, it's good.
It is. It's very good. We've got to talk about the Master. It's really odd seeing him as a hobo, but in these glorious gowns. But also, this is kind of the most powerful version of the Master we've seen.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a really great juxtaposition that the Master inhabits this hobo body, but he is like literally bidding for or vying for Master of the Omniverse.
Yeah, and he's already conquered Earth.
Yeah.
So the reveal is that the home planet is turned. They find St. Paul's there. The Master's already won, and he's taking it a step further. And it is the final end game for the Master in that he wants power, and this is the point of ultimate power across every possible universe and every possible life that you can live.
Let's talk about that a little bit. The Omniverse. I think not only is this something that isn't tackled in Doctor Who enough, but I think it's the future of the show, whether it be an omniverse or a multiverse. I think that when the current version of Doctor Who comes to an end, whether that is for a bit and then they restart with Doctor number 15, whatever, or whether it's a reboot, the next time you see Doctor Who, it'll be a Doctor Who traveller in time, space, and the multiverse. Because it's the only thing I think... You can tell all these stories again and again and again and again, but I think it's the only interesting new thing to do with the series.
Mm.
And, I mean, it's not even new because it's been done here 20 years ago.
Yeah, and also that we're at the point where mainstream films like Spider-Man Enter the Multiverse.
Yeah.
Is that what it's called?
Enter the
Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
Like, people are literate enough in these things to not need it.
But also, I think Doctor Who can do it better than all of them can.
Yeah.
Because you know what an alternative Earth is, an alternative dimension is, for most sci-fi, including Doctor Who currently, is like, what if Hitler won the war? Like, or what if there are fascists in control? I mean, maybe we're living in that reality now, but whatever. But here, you only see glimpses of it, but they do it very, very well. And they do it in ways that I was shocked. So the Doctor figures he's in this multiverse thing, and you get him in different genres of comics. We always say Doctor Who can be any genre it wants. Here, seeing it in a visual style, it's like there's a version of him which is a lot like Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
You get the Snoopy comic. You get him as a detective in a Western. There's so many genres, and they're all like... And there's like a cyborg version, and they're all alternative versions of the Doctor in the Omniverse. If you got this anywhere else, it'd be like, imagine if the Doctor was a human. We get that. Yeah. You know? And then it'd be like, imagine if the Doctor was evil. Imagine if the Doctor had stayed on Gallifrey. But this is, imagine if the Doctor was in a different fictional universe. It's fucking brilliant.
And also, if anything, we've learned that the comics have done this more than any other medium. So even in the 80s, they were pushing the Fifth Doctor lost in an endless sea of parallel universes.
Yeah.
And again with Voyager, it was the idea that of going into alternate fantastical lands. So maybe it's just something to do with British comics. I've just been very keen to push that, and a lot of comic book writers and artists having some late night doobie sessions and reading. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it is. There's loads of weird shit in this. There's a point where you see all these different multiverses, and they use there's a bit of Spider-Man. It's not Spider-Man light. There's a bit of Spider-Man in there. There's a bit of Dr. Octopus. There's a photographic bit of a face that looks like John Hurt, but that's just human.
It does look like John Hurt.
It's human seeing patterns and things that aren't there. And it's just like, this is bonkers. The nearest I've seen that this happen recently in popular culture was, do you know the Flash TV show?
Yeah.
They did a crossover with all their other shows, and they're cheesy American superhero shows. So Supergirl's there, Batwoman, all these different characters. And they started jumping around through a multiverse. And so all of a sudden, you get them showing up to the Smallville. Do you remember that old TV series? Yes, and you get Burt Ward's Robin as an old character. And the best one that they did of it was TV's Flash shows up in this room, the aspect ratio changes, and all of a sudden it's on screen with the film version of The Flash. And it's just such a I don't really watch those shows, but I tuned in for these specials. And it's such a bonkers concept that they didn't just go, oh, just walk into the room like this. They changed the aspect ratio and what it was shot on to just be like, oh, you're in a different place now. And I would love to see Doctor Who do things like that, and it does it here.
Red Dwarf did a scene in Plasticine. I would like, I would like Doctor Who to have at least just a crazy we're puppets for 2 minutes and do something weird.
I mean, I've said before, why hasn't there been a Doctor Who animated series? But the idea of them doing an episode where they just are animated for a minute, it would be absolutely glorious.
If you can put Peter Kay in that Absorb Love costume, you can have puppets and you can have cartoons and other weird stuff.
Yeah, and it's something Doctor Who Extended Media deals with a lot, but the TV series shies away from it, and I just think it's something it should. One other thing I want to say about this is a proper sequel to the TV movie.
Yes. But it's within the comics, it's the second sequel to the TV movie.
What was the first one? The
first one was called The Fallen. And so that is the return of Grace. Grace and another scientist have been experimenting on the ectoplasm of the death worm of the Master. And it's caused these mutations. And the Master in his current incarnation appears as a preacher in a street in that story. And then at the end, the Doctor leaves, and a body is found shrunken, and you realise, that preacher figure from the streets of Brixton, is actually the Master,
of course.
And then there is a story set in, I think, Japan, and that's where Katsura turns up.
Well, this is a proper, perhaps a season, you could say, if you were to put it in a season, that is the purest continuation of the TV movie. You get the reoccurring characters, and then this is the finale. Yeah. The final battle between the Doctor and the Master after the Doctor vanquished the Master to the time vortex. Yeah. And it's just like, they knew what they were doing when they were making this. Yeah. Like, it is the legitimate continuation in a way that I don't think the Big Finish audios do. They don't really pick up on any elements from apart from the fact that the Doctor is played by Paul McGann.
Yeah, and I like the twist, the fact that Eric Roberts gets sent into the Eye of Harmony, and then the Master gets reformed somewhere, but is tied to the TARDIS. So he goes to every adventure that the Doctor does and causes havoc after without him knowing it.
It's a really interesting idea.
Yeah.
Who wrote it?
Scott Gray.
Scott Gray does them all, right?
Yeah. My favourite Doctor Who writer.
I mean, after the comics we've done on this, he might be mine too. Is there anything else you want to say on it?
It's quite a heavy look at religion.
Yeah.
It contains the phrase, let the jihad commence.
It does, I noticed that.
But the writers have stressed that they're not referring to any particular religion.
Yeah.
And not only that, at the end of the episode where Izzy is writing a letter home, Russell T Davies wrote in saying how good it was.
Amazing. It's a fucking banger, isn't it?
It's a banger.
It's an absolute banger. It's October at the moment.
Yeah.
Next month is November. Doctor Who's anniversary.
Yeah.
So we should do what all Doctor Who fans do for an anniversary and look at some multi-Doctor stories.
Yes.
So the comic we're going to do, which I've never read, is Emperor of the Daleks. Know anything about it?
Is it got Daleks in it?
There's no Daleks. All I know is it contains the 6th and 7th Doctors. And then we're going to do from Big Finish. This is going to be the most recent release we've ever covered so far in our glorious history. We're going to do Out of Time, which is the 4th Doctor and the 10th Doctor.
Ooh.
In fact, is this our first new series thing we've covered?
Yes, it's definitely our first David Tennant thing.
Yeah, and it's our first Tom Baker. So, until next time, when we will be celebrating how Doctor Who fans always celebrate Doctor Who, locked in a room with only one other person watching Doctor Who specials. I've been Dylan.
I've been Jack.
And we are Doctor Who, Too Hot for TV.
Doctor Who. Too hot for TV.
The focal point of this realm. It's fucking ridiculous. The focal point of the the focal point of this realm, known as the glory. It's the fact that it's a gay pub
In Dalston. The focal point of this realm. The glory. I used to go and watch Wonder Woman there on a Thursday night.
The focal.
Come on, you're a grown up.
The focal point of the realm is. You might have to leave the room.
Okay. You just keep going.
Yeah.